Everyone knows about Marcus Aurelius's Meditations, but he did not write that book because things were going well in his life. He wrote it because things were going very wrong, okay? This matters a lot because the way that we talk about that book in modern times is almost completely inverted now. Meditations is seen as this calm man's reflections about a calm life, something aesthetic, something soothing, something to quote when you want to feel centered. But that is not what that text is, and it's not why it exists. Marcus Aurelius wrote Meditations during war, during plague, during sustained political instability. Most of it was composed when he was on a military campaign along the Danube frontier against the Germanic tribes. He oversaw brutal, drawn-out conflicts that refused to resolve themselves cleanly. And at the same exact time, the Antonine Plague, which is most likely smallpox, some form of smallpox, it tore through the empire. It killed millions of people, including his wife and some of his kids. It hollowed out entire cities, armies, institutions, dead within a couple of weeks. Rebellions were constant throughout the empire. Beloved, trusted generals, celebrated men betrayed the empire and tried to revolt against him. His children were dying. His co-emperor, Lucius Verus, died suddenly as well, probably from the plague. Marcus Aurelius was not writing from a place of comfort. He was under constant pressure. He was responsible for an empire that could not afford his personal failure. The context of his life changes how that book should be read by people, because Meditations was not even ever meant to be public. We have it by chance, by luck. It was written in Greek. He didn't even write it in Latin, his own language. He wrote it in Greek and addressed it to no other audience but himself. And he's seen as the father of Stoicism as a philosophy, but he's not explaining Stoicism to other people. He's reminding himself of it in that book over and over, because under stress, even what you know will slip away from you, right? The repetition of that book is not a stylistic choice. It was a functional part of the book, because the idea of Stoicism for Marcus Aurelius was not an identity or a performance like some alpha male bullshit. It was a tool that he used. It was a way to keep his judgment intact when circumstances were actively working against him. And I think that's where modern interpretations often go completely wrong, because Stoicism is frequently misread as emotional suppression or detachment or a way of appearing unbothered. But Marcus Aurelius was not a man who was afraid of feeling, and he was not trying to stop himself from feeling. He was trying to stop fear and resentment and anger and bitterness and self-pity from interfering with his actionable decision-making. When he describes external events as indifferent, he is not saying that these indifferent things that are acting on his life don't hurt him. He is deeply wounded by all the things that are confronting him in life, right? He is saying in that book that pain does not excuse the failure of your duty. The calmness of that book, in that framework, is incidental. Functionality is the point of Meditations. Marcus Aurelius did not have the luxury of breaking down and losing his shit. He could not step away or protect his peace, or step back until he had some better conditions in life to act on things. His inner life mattered because millions of outer lives depended on the quality of his judgment. Stoicism is not about feeling better. It's about remaining capable. That is why Meditations is saturated with reminders of death and impermanence and ultimately the insignificance of your life. And these are not morbid obsessions, right? They are perspective corrections. It's a way to correct your perspective on life. Because when everything in your life is unstable, perspective that you have is not comfort for you. It's the ballast of your ship. It's the way that you stay upright in the waves and the oceans and the storms of life. And the modern self-help pop psychology industry, it always reverses this logic. It says that suffering is treated as an interruption to life and it's something to be minimized or bypassed, right? Stoicism itself becomes like an aesthetic thing. It's a way to look composed without being composed. You can appear efficient while being inefficient. It makes you appear to be untouched or graceful while you are severely touched and not graceful. See, Marcus Aurelius was not above the mess. He was neck deep in blood and mess his entire life. Now, for thousands of years, what has given Meditations its durability is that it was written where philosophy could not afford to be decorative. It wasn't an aesthetic thing in your life. Every idea that you had to survive contact with the plague and war and grief and betrayal and exhaustion. Exhaustion, most importantly. And anything that didn't help him act justly and decisively was useless. And the repetition in that book reflects the reality of his time. Because Marcus is not polishing insights in that book. He is reinforcing habits of mind. He is training his attention. He is narrowing the gap between what he knows and what he does under pressure. See, Stoicism is not a philosophy of serenity. It is a philosophy of discipline. Discipline as a way to align yourself in life with where you're going. Aligning your perception with reality. Your actions with the duty that you have in this life. To yourself, your friends, your family, and to the world around you. And treating your character with circumstance. He didn't write Meditations to escape from suffering. You should not be trying to escape from suffering. He wrote it to endure without, becoming smaller or crueler or less just. That's why that book has been on my bedside table for about 20 years, and I read it pretty much on a daily basis, a little bit every day. I read it and I reread it, and I underline and I highlight, and I constantly am looking at it because it is such an important book. Not because it promises some sort of a peace. It's because it assumes there's going to be struggle in your life, right? Meditations does not flatter the reader. It demands something of you. Stoicism is not born in comfort. It is forged in the obligations that you have. It's not a celebration of peacefulness and tranquility. It's the record of someone governing himself when he could not afford to fail. And you can't afford not to show up either. No one is coming to save you. There's not going to be anyone showing up and knocking on your door, making sure that you do the things in your life that you're supposed to do. You have to do it. It is not going to magically get better. There's not going to be a biblical level miracle in your life that suddenly erases all of your problems. But you know what? They are fixable. The way that you feel about life, the way that you feel about your dispassion or your anger or your frustration or however overwhelmed you feel in life, the only thing that you can rely on is you. I suggest you get a modern translation of Meditations and you thumb through it. And then you keep thumbing through it and you keep getting up and you keep showing up for yourself. Because I'm not going to show up for you. I'm trying to show up for myself. And so is everybody else. You have to show up for you. Do it or don't. Die from the plague if you want to. Or you could stand up. And look, the book is linked on this video. You can buy it from there, but don't feel obligated to do that. The reason why I'm linking a product to this video, the book, is because I heard it will keep your video from being suppressed in the algorithm, which my videos have been suppressed for several years now. So don't feel obligated to buy it from me. In fact, don't buy it from me. Go to your local mom and pop bookstore if there's one in your city. Find a family-owned small bookstore struggling to stay alive and go buy a copy of Meditations from them. Don't buy it from me. This is not reverse psychology, by the way. I am not reverse psychologizing you to buy it from me. Don't click the link and buy this. Go to your local mom and pop bookstore. And please don't die from the plague.